link. I'll do it again. We'll get you on live right now. You can
100%
ask a question.
Yeah, come and be in the show. We'd love to have you.
Okay, we have another question that came in from, hold on a second. Oh, I want to thank Roller Girl for the $1.99 super sticker. By the way, folks, if you want to, first off, ask a question, write the word question, post the question thereafter, or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $ in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him right there with his brother Colin and myself. He's my son who passed away 6.5 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process Insight Institute and scholarships to coaching as well. Our goal is $50, so we need $48 more to get to the goal. Thank you, Roller Girl. And if you want to talk to Sabrina live right now, I just posted a link in the chat box. So I saw another question here from Sunshine Beauty.
Hi, Sunshine.
Do you help with attachment styles? I've never been in a committed relationship and I don't know how to. I've worked on myself and I've tried, no success yet. I want to comment on something before you answer this, Sabrina.
Sure.
I don't know how to. I want to acknowledge that statement. You know, I really want to give her a lot of props to say, I don't know how to be in a relationship. Like, that's brave to say that, because I think we have this expectation that everybody knows how to be in a romantic relationship with someone else. And honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out, and I've been at it for a long time.
Yeah. Well,
do you help with attachment styles?
Sure. I don't think although as much as I appreciate where you're coming from, and I want to acknowledge that there is a deep desire to learn how to be in a committed relationship. I don't think that's the right question. It's not about helping with attachment styles. It's about learning what it means to be committed. Like, what does it actually mean to be committed? Being ready to be in a committed relationship. If you've never been in one because you don't know how to, chances are there's probably a lot of fear happening, whether it's conscious or unconscious, and you might be blocking it. Right? You might be blocking it out because the idea of being in a committed relationship can bring up a lot of unresolved issues. Okay, so it's not about learning how to attach, it's just about learning how to be in a genuine experience of love and being able to express that love in a way where you feel safe to, right? And
All right, you just opened a can of, you opened, I was going to say a can of worms, but I want your take on something.
Sure.
There is a lot of content out in the relationship realm, particularly centered around attachment styles, meaning that there's an insecure, secure attachment style. And within insecure, there's anxious, fearful avoidant, and dismissive avoidant.
Yeah. But
you said something a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be committed? So, I mean, not to suggest that there isn't value in understanding attachment styles, but I think that question might be the most important question to ask when you're beginning to form a relationship with someone.
100%. 100%. I mean, we take it for granted, but commitment requires presence. It requires awareness. It requires emotional availability. It requires courage, right? Yeah. It requires adaptability, a willingness to rearrange your life, reorganize your way of operating. It's like a commitment requires it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment to the way of living your life, right? And it requires vulnerability and transparency and a willingness to trust. So this is the big work, is what does it mean to be committed? Right? What does it mean to just put yourself in a situation where you now agree to co-create life with this person, to care about this person, to be accountable to this person, to share love with this person, to communicate your needs with this person, to invite this person into your life, and to invite them into your inner, not just your outer circumstances, but your inner life. It requires a lot of tending, right? You can't just be in a relationship and hope it'll work. Right? And just agree to, okay, you and me, we're going to do this thing. Like, it's just, it takes a fair amount of awareness and conversation and dialogue to be able to create something that works for everybody.
So you just, and by the way, I love what you just shared in the last 2 minutes, and I want to take it another level because I want to start with like from first date to what you described. Okay. Like that takes a really, I think a fair amount, almost ninja level of awareness to, I mean, most people ambivalently enter into relationships, they unconsciously enter into relationships, and particularly they even just their understanding of what commitment is, what you just described first off was beautiful, so I just want to give you a hug for that. I really appreciate it. But I look at relationships with a couple layers of commitment. I want your take on this, okay? I always say level one of commitment starts with the agreement of monogamy and exclusivity, mainly because most couples enter into relationship today oftentimes from a physical perspective. You know, they're physically spending time together. As soon as you start kissing, you're sharing bodily fluids, and as soon as you start getting even more romantic on a sexual level, that they agree to monogamy and exclusivity.
Right.
I say the
Oh,
second
you should be agreeing. The first step, you should be agreeing to tell the truth, right? The first step is
oh,
agree to tell the truth to each other. That should be the first point of
okay.
entry. You should not be having sex with someone you don't trust. Okay. You should not be being physical with someone that you don't have some kind of agreement of transparency and truthfulness. That should be step one. Okay. So this is, can you trust this person? Do you feel comfortable telling this person the truth? Do you believe that this person is telling you the truth? Like you got to trust your body on that one. Okay. So I don't mean to leapfrog over what you were saying, but that would be the first step. I really just want to make sure that everybody gets this. Like so many of us, and I invite everyone to just take a moment of deep self reflection. How much time do you spend hoping that things are what you believe them to be, hoping that things will turn out the way you want them to turn out, hoping that you're going to get your needs met without ever advocating for yourself, right? So if we take all the hope out of this by being conscious, being direct, being truthful, having, clear ways of communicating, then we know, without further ado, we know who we can go the long term with, and who's not for us, right? And that we relieve, we save ourselves a whole world of suffering.
Well, all right. Well, I'm going to challenge this for a moment, okay, and just play with me. I'm not being devil's advocate per se, but
Mhm.
you can certainly, two people can go, I'm going to tell the truth, you tell the truth. But to get to the truth of a person is different than agreeing to tell the truth. Um, to get to the truth of a person,
Sure.
that takes a fair amount. You could spend years trying to get to the real truth of a person. That's what intimacy is, getting to the truth of a person.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it's fair to say that you can only get to the truth that a person is even aware of within themselves, right?
exactly,
So,
exactly, exactly.
so let's say, let's create a new principle of relationship, right?
Okay.
Let's say that we agree to get to the truth of ourselves together.
Okay.
What a great, way to begin a serious commitment with someone. We agree to help each other and support each other get to the truth of ourselves together.
Hmm.
I'm willing to go deeper within myself to share it with you. You're willing to go deeper within yourself to share it with me. And together we can create transparency along the way. And now we're building trust as we go, right?
Okay, so I'm a dating coach, so
Yeah.
that and that's not necessarily per
You
se.
can use that.
Huh?
You
No,
can
no,
use
I
that.
get that, but okay. So I want you to play with me for a second.
Yeah, of course.
When do you have that conversation? First date, second date, third date? Like when do you have that conversation?
Listen, if you're on a first date and the chemistry's good and you like the person, and overall it sort of checks out, it's a reasonable situation that looks like it could work, have the conversation.
Okay.
Have the conversation. I would say between date 1 and 2, don't waste time. Don't waste time. I mean, don't waste time.
Okay. All right. So we've agreed that layer one of commitment is the agree to tell the truth. Okay. That's my I'm going to revamp all my other content. I always say the minute two people become physical is that monogamy and exclusivity. In other words, agreeing that you're not going to be actively seeking to meet other
Sure.
people. You're going to
Sure.
be, if you're having physical intimacy, that's an agreement. I've noticed that the next level of commitment, or at least what begins to form, is when two people operate as teammates with one another. In other words, they begin to integrate into each other's lives, operating on some level of teammate. Does that feel true for you from your vantage point?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. If you feel like you've met someone who meets your value system, that you feel like you can get your needs met, then you start to collaborate and co-create life together.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree
Okay.
that's
And then I say that the next level of commitment after that is going all in. That's like that, like, I've got your back. I'm going to be there for you. I mean, it's kind of the wedding vows in a way, rich or poor, sickness and health. Like, I'm all in this.
yeah.
And I think a lot of couples just get stuck in that monogamy exclusivity range. Some of them get to that teamwork integration life, but there's another shift that happens when you're all in. Like, okay, I'm going to take this person for who they are 100%.
hmm Do you know what the missing factor is in all those levels that keeps you
What's
stuck? The truth.
hmm,
So if you agree to tell the truth from the very beginning,
yeah,
there's no there's nothing holding you back from being all in. And there's nothing holding you back from deciding early on, maybe this isn't going to work for us. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah,
So we want to take the anxiety and the stress and the second guessing and the panic and the obsessiveness and all of that anxious stuff that comes up for people, when you're dating and you're going into a relationship with someone and you're wondering if this is the right person and so on. Like, let's just take all of that out. If we remove this experience by having the courage to tell the truth about yourself and to require the truth of the other person and to set that as a precedent for the relationship, you can be in transparent dialogue. You can,
yeah,
for as long as it takes to decide whether or not there is a long-term compatibility here. And then you can truthfully tell each other, look, I don't think this is going to work for me. And then there's no hard feelings because you've been transparent the whole time. Right?
yeah.
Does that make sense? So if
Oh,
the truth actually takes away all of this noise and all of this, unfortunate experience that most people have when they're trying to find the right person, right?
I've come to realize for myself that throughout my life, I don't think I was being truly truthful with myself,
Yeah.
particularly in my past relationships, and only because I do delve in the realm of attachment style. I have found
Yeah.
myself insecurely attached to other people, mostly from an anxious vantage point. And
Mhm.
because of that, I wasn't speaking my truth to the other person. I think it's
Yeah.
only recently that I've even gotten to a place where I recognize that genuine authenticity, but more importantly, transparency. And you said earlier, transparency is the currency to trust. I wrote
Absolutely.
that down. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I've ever done that before until most recently in my life. And by the way, transparency isn't always pretty. Transparency isn't, it's actually, in my particular case, it's radically messy,
Yeah.
because what's going on for me on the inside, there's a lot of turmoil going on for me on the inside.
I love that you said that. It takes, first of all, I really want to acknowledge you because it takes a lot of courage to admit that and to say, like, look, I haven't always been honest with myself, right? But
Yeah,
that's why we said that you can only be truthful to the degree that you're with the other person, to the degree that you're being truthful with yourself, right? But if you go into a relationship saying, I don't know how to do this perfectly, but I'm willing to explore the truth of myself with you because I
yeah,
feel safe enough with you. Then let's explore the truth of each other together.
yeah.
Then we've created a sane and healthy foundation for something that is potentially beautiful and long term.
So I love this brief conversation we've had. What it what commit what it what wait wait what is it what does it mean to be committed? What does it mean to be committed? I've
Yeah.
really appreciated this conversation.
Me too.
Uh,
Me too. Me
yeah,
too. And
this is
nobody
fun.
wants to be coached.
What's that?
Nobody wants to be coached. Come on.
Yeah. Well, okay. And by the way, if anyone wants to comment on what just said, I want to post a
Yeah,
comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay. Next question.
sure. Hi,
What
Kath.
is an example of someone telling the truth? Okay, that would be good. Well, I'll share something from my personal life. I've had a circumstance where I had thought I had healed from a past relationship.
Mhm.
And as I began entering into a new relationship, a lot of the residue from my past relationship began to surface. And I was having mixed feelings. I was having a lot of, conflicting feelings going on. I know in the past I would have repressed that. I wouldn't have said anything. I would have just kept it
Yeah.
to myself. And to me, telling the truth is, for again, identifying what's going on. All of this past residue is happening, and it wasn't intentional. And I'll be candid with you. In all fairness, I had thought I'd healed from this past relationship, but a new relationship brought it all to the surface. And to me, coming back to transparency is the current cornerstone of the currency of trust, or
Yeah.
really truth. I had to share this with this person because I had committed to being my authentic self, to be my truthful self, to the best that I was aware of it. So, Catherine, that's one example of someone telling their truth. Is even though it was uncomfortable to share, I knew this could cause this person to move on. And it might be a reflection that I wasn't ready for a relationship. At least telling the truth gives that other person some feedback to whether or not they want to continue to move on into the relationship.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example. Saying something, sharing something that could be potentially uncomfortable, that could put you at a risk in the relationship, that could be a potential repellent to the other person. Taking a risk to share deep, vulnerable things about yourself is an example of telling the truth. And I think that we all owe that to each other, honestly, because you want to be in a relationship. You want to know that the person loves you for who you are. How are you going to know that if you're not telling the truth, right?
Yeah. Let's wrap up with this last question. Sassy says, we definitely want everyone to be truthful to themselves and to others. Should be given. However, it's not always the case. This is why it takes time to really get to know one another.
Yeah, it does. And it just takes time to develop the courage to be honest with each other. It really does. We say it takes time to get to know each other, and I appreciate the comment, but it really just takes time to develop the courage to be straight, to be transparent, to identify what our needs are, to advocate for ourselves, and to learn how to develop the courage to be in partnership, to be, to take on this thing that we're referring to as commitment, which is a big undertaking, for those of us that are morally aware, morally conscious, and want to be responsible towards the people that we care about.
Yeah. And I also think that, if we start from this place as again, being as honest with yourself as possible and being transparent with another person, if you start from that foundation, you can actually get to know someone quickly. And you might find that, hey, look at two people might not be a good fit for one another. That's
totally
like,
good. It's totally okay.
yeah, I think sometimes we try, because you're in this container of honesty and commitment and emotional communicativeness, you're like, oh, I've just found this great person to be with, but it still might mean that two people aren't right for each other. And that's okay too. I think we get hung up that we have to stick it out sometimes because you have all this great communication and understanding and transparency. But sometimes two people aren't a fit, and you got the lesson you need to learn in that experience within that container. And it's okay to say, hey, like, we're not meant to go the distance. And that's okay too.
100%. I think that takes the pressure off everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Sabrina, I am so grateful that you jumped on and we could talk about all of this stuff. This is like ninja level understanding of relationships. When I get with you, I think I'm learning ninja level skills. And I say this because, relationships aren't for the faint of heart. I really do believe you have to be willing to put your heart on the line to some degree, but at the same time, just like a ninja has to practice skills, communication skills, and holding space, and all the things we talked about. This is something that is well, Anyway, I'm just grateful that you shared with us today.
Me too. I'm so grateful to be here. I always love these conversations with you, and I love your audience. And thank you so much for all the beautiful questions. I hope this was helpful to people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. And Catherine said, commitment is a scary prospect. You know, I think I want to touch upon that before we wrap up.
Sure.
You know, it can be scary to open yourself up to another human being, you know, and to really, you know, build that level of trust. Because when you open your heart to someone, it's I'm not suggesting that we're giving them permission to hurt us or anything like that. And it's certainly, I believe, when we maintain our sovereignty, nobody can actually hurt us when we
Right.
maintain our own
Oh, we have to
sovereignty.
get there. We have to get
But
there.
yeah, and it can be scary to open up to another person. So
Yeah, sure can. But it's only scary if we fear being rejected, if there's parts of ourselves that we don't love and accept.
yeah,
So if you do the work to really love and accept yourself radically,
yeah,
every part of you, including the things that you might regret or be ashamed of, or things you've done in your past, and so on. Like if you could really do the work to love yourself radically and unconditionally, then letting someone in to see all of you, first of all, is a gift to both
yeah,
parties, and it can really enrich the experience of a relationship. So
yeah.
I would encourage everybody to work through their fear, do your inner child work, identify your needs, learn how to communicate them, and honor yourself when you're dating and choosing people to be in a relationship with.
Always enjoy Sabrina's presence. Great discussion. Thank you, Sabrina and Jonathan, for bringing her back. Yes, she's my most returning guest.
Yeah,
And grateful
I'm so
for that.
flattered. I'm so flattered. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Well, join me on Oracle Hour every Wednesday. Am I allowed to plug that?
Yeah. So everyone, if you want to connect with Sabrina, there's a link below to go to her website, Intuitive Sabrina. Also, she has a YouTube channel. Every Wednesday, she has a live reading. She's a you're not a mystic. What are you? An oracle?
A spiritual mentor and a psychic.
Spiritual mentor.
Yes.
Yeah. And she gives me psychic readings all the time. So if you want some help in that area, check out the link, connect with Sabrina Goat. Sabrina Rising is her YouTube channel, and you can check her out there.
Yes, please come check me out. Come bring me your questions, and I'm happy to guide you. I love to channel.
Okay. Sabrina Rising. All right, Sabrina, can I reach into the camera and give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of appreciation?
You sure can. Thank you so much for having me. Lots of love to you. Lots of love to everybody. And be
big
safe.
Hugs. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful night. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.